Yet still we pay with a patriotic heart, hoping our cash will play a small part in building a future bright and fair for the nation we love beyond compare. And let me say, ma'am, that the 5 southern states, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka and Telangana, are amongst India's strongest economic engines. They are paying taxes. They generate over a quarter of the country's direct taxes. They contribute 28.5% of GST. But when it comes to receiving their fair share, they get a mere 15% of the centre's tax pool. How is this acceptable? How can states that fuel the nation's economy be expected to sustain their growth with such an inadequate return? By all means, let us ask the richer states to help the poorer ones, but surely not in such a disproportionate manner. The Finance Bill 2025 is yet another move by the centre to hoard revenue here at the state's expense. By slashing basic customs duty on several items that are shared with the states and shifting the difference to agricultural infrastructure and development cess, AIDC, which the centre keeps entirely, this ensures that states lose out. So AIDC share is increased, centre deprives the states of extra rightful revenue. Its growing addiction to cesses is not only opaque, but also undermines fiscal federalism. And yet, for all its love of cesses, there's one the centre just can't seem to stomach: the GST compensation cess, which was intended to offset the loss of revenue to states after the GST implementation and has been extended only till March 2026. That money actually belongs to the states. States have repeatedly demanded that their share in vertical devolution be raised from 41% of revenues to 50%, a reasonable demand, but one that continues to be ignored. And what happens when states have grievances? Nothing. Once the Central Finance Commission submits its report, it dissolves, leaving states with no constitutional mechanism to challenge or negotiate their share. Where is the accountability? We could have had an independent fiscal council to serve as a redressal body, ensuring that states have a say in how their hard-earned revenue is allocated. And I urge the Finance Minister to consider such a method, because shouldn't those who contribute the most to the nation's economy have a voice to receive a fairer share? Or can the cycle of economic injustice just continue unchecked? Let me turn, Madam Chair, to my own state, because Kerala's share of tax out of the divisible pool seems to be on a permanent downward slide, from 3.8% under the 10th Finance Commission, 1980 to 85, to 3% in 2000 to 2005, and now under the 15th Finance Commission, it's down to a mere 1.9%. 18,000 crores lost since the last one. Now, this is for a state which is struggling to meet routine expenditures and is sinking into debt that has now crossed 4 lakh crores. But always the expectation of Kerala seems to be pay more, receive less, and somehow keep thriving. Now, amid this financial crunch, Madam Chairman, when the state government sought 4,500 crores in special assistance to tackle coastal erosion, rehabilitate fisher folk through the Punargeham project, modernize fishing harbours, was given no response. Lakhs of poor fishermen are left struggling under a trifecta of crises: low prices for their catch, depleted fish stocks due to overfishing, the removal of kerosene subsidies by this government for their boat engines, and yet no relief package has been announced. Even Kerala's 1,000 crore rupee request to address human-wildlife conflict was ignored. Part of a larger pattern of neglect evident in the plight of the people who are victims of wildlife attacks, fishermen left adrift, ASHA workers still deemed volunteers despite their critical role, and key projects left unfunded. While the centre has earmarked 25 lakh crore for the states, Kerala receives less than 40,000 crore, a drop in the ocean. The state also failed to secure a 24,000 crore economic package for financial stabilisation and the much-needed aid for the Vilnius port project in the current budget. All we have got, and that too after the intervention of the Honourable Governor, is a loan of 5,900 crores and no grant. Apparently, when it comes to equitable financial support, Madam Chairman, some states are more equal than others. Now, the centre's masterclass in delay tactics continues. Wayanad's landslide victims are still waiting for aid that never seems to arrive, despite the Kerala High Court actually urging the government for immediate action. The state government conducted a post-disaster needs assessment and estimated that 2,220 crores was required for recovery and reconstruction. submitted to the centre on November 13th, 2024. Nothing has come. And this is supposed to be urgent disaster relief. I ask you, Madam Chair, instead of releasing much-needed funds like this, the centre still insists that Kerala must first exhaust its own balance in the State Disaster Response Fund for all other disasters before receiving any help for Wayanad. All this while thousands of lives and livelihoods are at stake. But it's part of a larger pattern of neglect and unfulfilled promises. From healthcare and infrastructure to livelihood support, Kerala has been systematically sidelined. I've been pleading in this House many times for help in addressing the severe coastal erosion problem. My own constituency has lost 64 square kilometers of territory to the sea while I have been MP. Bharat Mata ki dharti, lost forever. But the centre says it's not their problem, and the state says they have no money for the sea walls and groins needed to save our coast. Beaches where youth played football or cricket in my first years as an MP have disappeared today, man. Who is going to help us? And key projects that could transform Kerala's infrastructure and economy continue to be stuck in limbo. The All India Institute of Medical Sciences remains a mirage despite many years of repeated requests. 22 AIIMS have been sanctioned across India. Keralites are still waiting. Similarly, the National Institute of Speech and Hearing in Thiruvananthapuram was promised an upgrade to a national university for rehabilitation and disability studies in the union budget of 2015-16. Explicit commitment, 10 years later, no action. A promise to establish a national university for Ayurveda in Thiruvananthapuram has recently materialized in Gujarat. It seems that where Kerala is concerned, promises are easier to make than to keep. Now, while these delays and denials are Kerala's burden, other aspects for other states, for all our country, the Indian economic landscape is very worrying. The economic survey suggests that foreign investment is moving 2 minutes, ma'am. But in fact, net FDI has been slowing year after year, and outflows are surging. In just April to October last year, a whopping $34.1 billion left the country through disinvestment and repatriation, which is an increase from $26 billion the previous year. India's share of global FDI, even excluding China, is shrinking. But sure, let's keep celebrating token investment announcements while the real money quietly walks out of the door. And it's not just foreign investment that's pulling back. Indian private investment has also been shrinking from 25% of GDP in Dr. Manmohan Singh's time, 2008, to just 13-14% of GDP since 2020. What's the culprit? Weak domestic demand that has dampened confidence and kept businesses from putting their money back into the economy. And we still expect to believe that everything is nice on track for Viksit Bharat. Where are the decisive measures to drive export-led growth, to seize the China Plus One opportunity, to revive investments in manufacturing? Does India not wish to absorb the capital leaving China? What are we doing about it? We are abandoning PLI, and this bill offers nothing new to inspire economic confidence. Ma'am, just finished. The service sector alone cannot drive broad-based growth. Industrial expansion is essential to create jobs and build economic resilience, and we must say that there is no large national strategy in this bill to achieve that. To conclude, Madam Chair, we are left with a finance bill devoid of vision and lacking in resolve. The people of India deserve decisive action and forward-thinking policies. Yet